Takes a minute. There we go. So we are live. I guess I maybe should have done this part a little bit before. So did you guys read what we're doing today?
Yeah, I read a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm going to let you take. So you all read the unpopular pay plan. And so we're all going to take a side. So, well, you guys are going to take a side. I get to be the head guy. Or I guess I get to be the one whose plan it was originally. So they wanted you to pick, do somebody who was the same sex, but there's only one female. So who wants to be the
female?
I know we should all switch roles. We're all gonna have guys.
Let's do that.
Well, sometimes the name Sid is a woman. I knew a Sid that was a lady. So
that's possible too.
There you go. There you go.
All right, Joy, you can be Sid.
Okay.
You can be Noreen. You can be Ruth.
Oh, okay.
And then, Dana, you can be Miles.
Okay.
What you're gonna do is those are your plans, and I'm just gonna give you like 5 minutes just to kind of check and make sure you know what their ideas were, and then we're gonna kind of open up a pretend meeting, and you're gonna tell me why your idea is best. So just take a quick look and see what your kind of ideas were, or what you wanted to do. So.
Okay.
Actually, Dana, I'm going to have you be Bill.
Okay.
Bill Purcell. You guys kind of ready? Not too difficult.
Yeah, I've read through mine.
Tell me when you think you might be ready.
I think I'm ready.
I think I might be ready too.
Okay. So, I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting today. As you know, Sam Verde has asked me to lead the committee. Although I worked hard on the initial pay plan, I'm willing to support other ideas. So let's start off with Sid, what
Oh,
would you like to see on a pay plan?
well, to be frank with you, the things that motivate my team, we're scientists, and I don't. But the plan that you presented, based on the plan that you presented, um, I'm winging this, okay?
You're okay.
Scientist degree. We have science degrees and we have scientific backgrounds, and they're very good at what they do. And they have their chemical expertise, and to do their business, and that's important. And they already spend too much time explaining Chem 101 to the other team members, and they could which could be spent in the lab. I want free time up to do this work, to do what they need to do best. Most of all, I want to be able to attract and motivate the best and the brightest. I have I'm worried that if we make these changes that we're going to lose some employees.
Okay. So what's some ideas that you would like to incorporate into a pay plan?
Well, I don't know if I have any ideas quite yet, but
okay. All right. Well, we can move on, and then we can come back to you. Sid?
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Ruth.
Well, as far as I know as myself, it seems like for at least something not to do with the pay plan is not to include, not to have everybody have their own individual, kind of plan, because that kind of goes against the whole idea that one person's just focusing on one part of the whole process of making everything, whereas in actuality, the scientists, yes, have their part, excuse me, but being that we're part of the team that actually mixes the chemicals and makes them and ships them out and sells them, we kind of know better what the customers want and everything. So there needs to be that collaboration with the scientists, just like it's saying here that there's the Tim O'Brien. He used to work with the scientists all on his own, actually, as a scientist, but now he works with us, and he likes it, and he likes the fact that he can see better the things that he's created, how they actually are made and processed and sold, and how it affects the customers, knowing what the customers want and the materials to use and everything. So there really isn't just one separate group that does one thing and then we do the other thing. It is everybody's kind of working and pulling together, and everybody should have kind of a pretty good idea of what the one group's doing, because we're all affecting each other. So it's kind of hard to say that one pay ought to affect just this one group. They're the geniuses. You can't really say that, because the people who are on the floor making the things, they actually have a better idea of what needs to be done and everything when it comes down to it. So for my opinion, I'd say don't separate those pays. Just kind of get it more common, rolled in together kind of thing. Anyway, that's what I know at this moment as Ruth.
Okay. Ted? Or Bill, sorry, Bill.
Bill. So my take on this is pretty easy. I agree with the plan. I think the problem is we just have too many people in this company that that aren't willing to get on board and who won't get on board. And so instead of adapting a plan around them, we just need to decrease our number of employees in this company. We're about the same amount of employees that we had 4 years ago. And so they are starting to get a little bit older, and there are some who don't want to change in their ways. And so I think we need to keep this plan, but then get rid of some of these employees by offering them voluntary severance packages to where they win and we also win.
Okay. So those are the three that we're just going to look at, those three. Or what's the word I'm looking for? Problems, I guess. So we need to come up with at least 20 ideas for a pay plan. What would you like to see in a pay plan? So do you guys want to just see nothing but a base pay and that's it? You just get paid a certain amount and that's it? Do you guys want to see incentive plans? What do you guys think? Yell them out.
I think there should be like a combination of a base pay, but then like almost like a base salary, but then that option of if you do work overtime, if you work over the 40 hours a week, then some sort of incentive, whether that be a bonus or whether that be overtime pay, but to almost have a salary.
Okay.
I like the idea too about it's kind of like with teachers, not that I'm stepping out of character, because Ruth's husband is a teacher. Their pay scale rises. Can you hear me still?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you're all frozen. The pay scale rises depending on, yes, how much time you've spent with the corporation or as a teacher. But at a certain point, it freezes until you can get continued education. If you, say, for instance, my husband's going to enter into the master's program so that once his pay scale freezes, it'll bump up because he's continued his education. So I think with this company, just gaining more knowledge, improving your education, that should be incentive for more pay if you do continue to learn as much as you possibly can. I don't know if you can still hear me.
We can.
Okay. It's hard to tell when everything's frozen and quiet. But yeah, so by continuing education, raise the pay with that. That's, yeah, one thing I like.
Okay. What about compensation, like piece rate kind of, or you know, like if we all meet our goals at 25%, you know, then we get a incentive bonus? Or what do you guys think about bonuses? What do you guys?
I like holiday bonuses. Like for Christmas.
No, like if you meet goals, like if we increase.
I know. Well,
Joy is frozen.
No, I'm
okay.
here. I just look like I'm frozen.
I'm like, Joy is not moving.
That was funny. That was good.
well, going back to the whole school thing, I think this school district is a bit different than others, but we have a really good superintendent. Anytime there is a way that they can figure out a way to get the teachers more money, like if they were able to save by cutting this expense or by getting a deal with for this kind of supplies or something, anytime there's that extra bit of money, they do find a way to make sure it trickles down back to the teachers and stuff. So in a way, that is sort of like what you're saying. If you do meet certain goals, or if profits are higher, find a way to where that benefits the workers, you know.
Or they could give the workers, like the scientists, a choice between traditional pay or team-based pay. You know, some scientists may have a difference of opinion regarding pay, so the company give them choices if they want to.
Okay. That's a good plan. Anything else? We haven't come up with 20 ideas.
So do we get to, with these ideas, use what we
learned in the other reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So any ideas that you've ever thought of or you've ever heard of in a or done in your employers?
Maybe project-oriented goals.
Okay.
Where they achieve a certain project or they complete a specific project that's extremely important, then they would get an extra bonus for that.
Okay. So like if they get things out on time, maybe they might get
that on time. Yeah, different, maybe on time, and then one for perhaps finishing special projects.
Okay.
At reducing expenses.
Okay.
Completing more, or what do they call it? There's one thing that was mentioned. Producing more product within a shorter period of time, but efficiently.
Okay.
In other words, productivity, increase in productivity.
Can we get into the last week's idea about safety and everything too? If you go X amount of time where you don't have to pay out for somebody's injuries or something, that's money for that month that actually could go towards people, because here you go, you all were safe last month, and so this is the money we saved that would have had to have gone to an injury, you know.
So like a safety bonus?
Yeah. We got to come up with 20 ideas. Why not throw that one in?
Throw out what you can.
So can we use that good advice from those 4 experts that's at the bottom of the case study? Okay. Yep. So I like that, what Joy said earlier about letting the different people figure out if they want it to be based off of a team. And that kind of goes on what at least a couple of those experts said, that kind of talk with the employees and figure out all what they want, how they'd like to have the pay plan. So I don't think it should be necessarily just us with our different positions that we have, Sid, Ruth, Bill, all that. But yeah, can we put it there that we want to get more insight from all employees, all different teams?
Right.
Not be included on the plan.
Dana, do you have anything?
So the one I was thinking of was, it pretty much is an incentive, but it's not a set bonus. It's, we'll pay out 10% on the profits that we make that quarter, to where, if the workers do want to just do the bare minimum and reach that goal, then they'll just make their pay. But then if they're willing to put more time in, maybe put some overtime in, things like that, then they will get a chunk of that money that's been set aside, kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that kind of goes on, like if they can prove, if they were known to have shown good teamwork during that project or whatever, if they actually did collaborate with different teams, then anybody who did actually go outside of their own clique, so to speak, if they did go and try and work with others, then they get some of that extra ching-ching as well. That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
They also talked about understanding the value of celebration, recognition, joy in the workplace as a powerful motivator.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one of the experts said, don't offer compensations really so much, because that just is a distraction. So you just pay them.
Right.
You either give them the standardized hour per pay, money per hour, or that salary, but don't offer anything extra beyond that, because that will just be distractions and cause contentions and things like that.
Okay.
So it's kind of give them what they agreed when they signed up their contract for that job.
Okay.
So what if they could also, if there is like extra money, so to speak, if they did put it towards like kind of a, I don't know, how would you say that, like an employee of the month, nice little something, because they're saying even gift cards would be a nice thing. And it's almost kind of not necessarily that they're working towards that, like Dane's saying. It's not an expected thing, but it's kind of a surprise. We actually think you're doing great. Here you go. You weren't expecting this, but we feel like giving this as a nice kind of thank
Darn, she left.
Definitely.
I think it's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. So we're going to go through some of these ideas and hear some thoughts and give kind of pros and cons to each idea. Well, we kind of actually already did that. So we're going to go jump to this next part. That we're going to, is it better? Maybe we'll wait for Joy to jump back on here.
I'm here. I'm here.
Joy, Noreen.
Freezing up. You think I'm frozen, but I'm not.
I was thinking Noreen, but I said Joy.
Okay.
So which is better, do you think? Guarantee pay that is the same for all employees based on market rates, and or seniority or incentive pay that is linked to performance? So what do you guys think is better?
When I think of incentive pay, the first thing that comes to my mind is salesmen. Most salespeople, they usually work on commission, which would be an incentive to where if you sell a lot, then you're going to be in favor for that the incentives. But if you don't sell a lot, then you're just going to want that base pay. So for me personally, I feel like incentives is the better idea, because with base pay, people will just do the bare minimum. They'll show up to work and pretty much get through the day. But when you have to work for your money every single day, then you really are motivated. You're motivated to do as much as you possibly can to get that extra money.
It's kind of like the waitress thing. I mean, where they give you like a base pay, and then, you know, I mean, depends on how well of a server you are. I mean, depends on how kind of, you know, what kind of tips you get. If you suck at your job, you're not going to make very much money. But if you put forth an effort, you're going to make better money. What do you guys think?
Agree.
Yep.
So do you think it should be based off of an individual or a group? Because sometimes when you have a group, if the group's not working out, but you're working hard, then
I think it could be both. Why not surprise them? You know, why not have something to where they're not necessarily expecting it, but that's a common thing for them to do, to give a nice gift card or a nice something, recognition. You don't know when they're going to do it. It could be for an individual, it could be for a team. Just, you're always aware that they're aware of everybody and how they're working, and they are looking for people to spoil, kind of thing. So not that it's expected, but they just know that that company's good at showing appreciation.
okay. If you use an incentive pay system, how much pay should be based on performance and how much should be guaranteed? So you like, I mean, like they did like a 75% guaranteed and 25% incentive.
But that says if we're doing it. What if we said we're not doing it?
So you don't want to do the incentive?
I don't know. Not that it's expected. I like that idea that it does kind of get in the way if people are expecting it. I don't know.
It's a hard decision.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like Joy's idea of coming up with a couple of different options, and then like, you know, telling people that you can choose option 1 or 2 or 3 for your pay, And that's what you're going to get paid either for like 1 year or 2 years. And then after 2 years, you can reconsider it and choose a different option of pay. So like if you just want to make a base pay, that's what you're going to get, you know, for that year or for that 2 years. I mean, while people who you work with could be getting a different sort of pay, which could mean that they're working harder, or even, you know, in that department, you know. What do you guys think about that?
That was directly, by the way, that was directly from the course, what I mentioned to you.
Right.
I think it is all dependent on what kind of job it is. Because, I mean, there's jobs where you can make that incentives, but it mainly is just based off of your sole performance. But if it's something where it's a team thing, then it would be hard because you wouldn't have people working the same level of. I mean, if you have somebody earning $10,000 more in base pay, because they selected that, then should they have to be doing more work than those who are making $1,000 less in base pay,
or perhaps more responsibility.
Yeah. So maybe like something like you get paid on how much responsibility you take for that week or whatever. Like if you're willing to take on an extra assignment, then your base pay will be higher.
Right.
Or if you're willing to work more than 40 hours a week. Some people want to work their 40 hours a week and go home because they have other obligations, and perhaps other people are willing to work 50 hours a week. Maybe it could be some people think that it may be based on that. Special project scientists or something.
Right.
With certain expertise.
So do you guys think that incentive pay increases employee motivation?
Maybe to some extent, but from all accounts that we've read, it seems like
it doesn't.
Yeah. I was talking with my husband earlier today about this. It seems like there's one of the parts that was talking about that people tend to resent it almost. They say, no, I'm not that cheap. I'm not going to work. You can't buy me off kind of thing. And I've seen him do that many a time. He'd much rather do something for no pay instead of somebody paying him, just because he doesn't like that feeling of thinking, oh, you can buy me off for any amount kind of thing. So I think there's enough people that have that, not necessarily pride, but, you know, sense of self-worth that they say, oh, I'm above that. I don't need to be baited that way kind of thing. So
yeah, so like right now with this company that I'm working with, they you know, 500, you get $500 if the person that you get hired on. So if you you know, tell them that you know this employee and you're trying to get them on, it's an incentive to, you know, to get your friends and stuff hired on with the company because it's $500. Well, a lot of our employees are they're just giving anyone and everyone, you know, and some people I'm like going, you can't hire them, they're idiots. You know? I know that person. You cannot hire them. But the person who gave them what's the word I'm looking for?
The referral?
The referral gets the $500. So that's all they're caring about is the referral money. They're not caring about bringing good people onto the team and people who will work hard and who know the job. So I agree with that. Sometimes incentives are not necessarily good. But I also think at times, like our last pay raises were based off of a team goal, and that caused a few little issues just because some of the team did their job and some of the team didn't, and so it was frustrating that we didn't reach the goal because some people didn't do their job, but while you did their job. So.
Or on the other hand, what could also happen, the same theme, is that the whole team can get, incentives. Everyone get the same incentives, but about 3 or 4 people actually put into the work instead of the whole team. It's interesting.
They did all the work.
With this lesson, we had the lesson about Jeffrey R. Holland gave that talk about the laborers and how some laborers started and they worked all day from beginning of the morning till night, and others worked only half day, and then there was those that were hired the last minute, but they all received the same compensation. And at the end he said, the Lord he's always there and waiting for us. It doesn't matter if we've been there all our lives or if we come within a couple days before the second coming.
Right.
It doesn't matter to him because he loves us all the same. I know that there's some of us are going to be thinking, oh my gosh, I know this guy and he didn't blah, 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 blah. Of course, I'm prayerful that I'm not going to think that way. But there's a point in that, although we're working together as a team, some of us, hopefully you're hoping that those people that kind of didn't participate as much will learn from this experience and be inspired next time. I don't know.
Right. Okay, so then we need to come up with a plan. What is our pay plan? So what are we going to suggest? What do you guys want in a pay plan? If you guys were to get on with a job today, what would you want as your pay plan?
Including benefits and compensation, the whole thing?
Just compensation.
Just compensation, not
we're not worried about benefits. We're just worried about compensation.
Only compensation. And incentives are part of the compensation, I'm guessing?
Yep. If you want it like a incentive plan or, a piece rate, whatever.
They said something really interesting in the article. They talked about how working together as a team and how there was like the comment made about how they would watch everybody, obviously, and they would see how helpful team members were in helping others to grow and learn. That might be a good incentive, is to reward people who are not only team players, but mentors and, team players and mentor combination.
So going back to last week's conversation, it talked about how you've got to make people's base pay so they're not worried about paying their bills.
Right.
True.
So I think, to me, that sounds like the most reasonable thing is to at least make a base pay where you're not stressed out.
I agree with that because I don't think I could accept a job that was all based on commission or bonuses only.
Unless I was a good salesperson.
Because I can. So right now I do work pretty much off a commission, and you do see it does motivate you because you have some people who have a check for $400 a week, and you have some people who have a check for $5,000 that week, and you can tell which people that is because you have some people who just sit on their butts and pretty much like do the bare minimum. You have those who don't even take lunches and things like that, and so I think you do have to have that base pay because some weeks just things aren't going. You can't control all the factors coming in. So for this job specifically, it could just be a bad year for the company because of the economy, just things like that, and you can't have the employees suffer just because of outside factors. So you do have to have
and with
something to where they.
with this company, I mean, we are kind of looking at this company basically as a company that we're looking for. I don't think it could be a compensation because you have people working in purely compensation just because you have people working in it's a factory setting. I mean, so you're going to have people who aren't selling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
I do
could it?
incentives do motivate because
Yeah.
I just don't like the way I think about it, kind of, and maybe I feel like it's almost when you have that everybody gets paid the same kind of. It's kind of I feel it's almost like a little bit like communism, kind of, to where you will have some people just show up to work, and you'll have others who are doing it because they want to see this company succeed. Because we all see that, and we see employees who hate their jobs, who just do it for the
Right.
money, and then you have those employees who love their company and like want to do their best. And so the question is, like, should they both be making the same amount of money if one's doing twice as much work?
so do you
Working
think
those
we
extra
should
hours?
have? So we should have a base pay. Do you think we should have like a team incentive and an individual incentive?
Well, what I was thinking was like, kind of, you could kind of have incentives, but kind of have it branch out to where, if this group, this section does it, then they get their bonus. But if this other section doesn't do it, then they don't get a bonus. But then when that group does get that incentive, then it's then again kind of distributed that way as well. So it's kind of branches off, kind of. Does that make sense?
So it shouldn't be. Go ahead.
Oh, I think I kind of what Dana's saying. I think. Oh, did I freeze?
Nope,
No.
you're good.
Okay, sorry. I keep going in and out. Back again to education. Sorry, I keep bringing that up. But
No, you're good.
for instance, when there's a particular job that needs to be done, say like after school coaching for track, that's what my husband does. He signs an additional contract that he will get paid X amount of money for working X amount of extra hours during the school year to coach track. And there's different teachers at the junior high who do that. You know, this teacher will get paid X amount extra because they help out with the yearbook, you know, that kind of thing. There's odd jobs, different things that need to be done that the different teachers can step up and say, yes, I will do that. I'll put in the more hours for that extra chunk and stuff like that. So I wonder if something like that could happen, kind of like what Damon's saying.
Uh-oh.
So like projects. So you think like projects would be an incentive? Doing different projects would be an incentive pay?
Yes. Noreen has dropped off for a couple seconds.
Right. I do like what Dana said about.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Here you.
Okay, sorry. What'd you hear last?
We heard everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like Dana was saying though, if there's an individual job that can be done, they can put it out there and somebody can sign up and say, hey, I'll do it for the X amount of extra money. Or if there's an extra team job that needs to be done extra hours, then that team can agree and say, yeah, we'll do that for that extra amount or something. You know, just kind of putting it out there to where everybody kind of has the choice of, yeah, I'll step up and do that extra work and do those extra hours kind of thing. So anyways.
Okay. You guys like that as part of our plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like a payout on profits? I like that. Like if we hit our profits, like if we're 25% above goal, then a percent of that goes back to the employees.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the company I work for does. They, based on revenues year over year, and has a tier, and it seems to work very good based on the employees' hours. It's distributed based on the employees' hours, and it works out really well.
I like that, yeah.
So like So if the company hits its goals by like 25%, then they'll pay out like a 10% of that, or
Usually
5%.
because the amount is such a large sum of money, it's usually going to be like 2.5%.
2.5. Okay.
But when you do the calculations, you'll be surprised how much money that comes up to be.
Oh yeah. Okay. So if they hit the goals, then they give out a percent of the income or the
revenue.
The revenue.
Year-over-year growth on revenue.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to?
I like that. It seems simple enough everyone could understand and go with. I like simplicity.
Yeah, I thought their thing was really complicated.
Yeah, I like simplicity.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. I think that's all. Let's see. Says you can now return to your regular identity.
Oh, whoops!
Wow,
I
That's
think
hilarious.
I thought we were there already.
I think it's funny that it says that on there. Tell everyone to relax and go back to their regular identity.
So funny. Love the cheesiness.
I know. Okay, so I think that's basically it. So other than, how did you guys think our discussion went today?
So great.
Great.
So great.
I know, we're awesome. We've got to be the best team.
Pretty much.
Okay, so I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.